Hello everyone. Okay, so here's the deal. I teach 6th and 7th grade math, and I recently gave one of my classes a project in which they must explain two methods for finding the greatest common factor and for finding the least common multiple of a pair of numbers. It is my personal policy to never give an assignment without doing the work myself as well, and because I apparently hate myself, I've elected to make this project in a way that puts me out of my comfort zone. So let me start off by saying this. I can't stand the sound of my voice when I record. I don't know much about audio editing or proper recording equipment, so recording my voice usually goes really badly. Yet, here I am, talking to all of you through a recording made at 1:45 in the morning on a Sunday on a gaming headset. I actually ended up spending quite a few hours trying to plan, draw, and even, believe it or not, practice these lines before actually recording. While the content of this video is no problem since I'm the teacher, actually putting this together was rather difficult for me. So, for any of my scholars watching this right now, I did this for you guys, so appreciate me. Anywho, here are the methods for finding the greatest common factor and the least common multiple. Let's start with finding the greatest common factor, or GCF, by listing. Let's say we're trying to find the greatest common factor of two numbers, say 12 and 18. The first step we need to take is to list all of the factors of both of our numbers. In this case, the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. The factors of 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. To check that you have all of the factors, create a factor rainbow. 1 times 12 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 4 is 12. Like that. Step 2 will be to circle the factors the lists have in common. These two lists both have a 1, 2, 3, and 6. Our third and final step is simply to pick the greatest one of the matched factors. So, our greatest common factor will be 6. Let's move on to finding the GCF by prime factorization instead. Our first step in this case is to find the prime factorization of each number. There are two methods for finding the prime factorization. We could use either the tree method or the division stairs method. Using the prime factorization tree method, I can separate 12 into 4 times 3, and then again into 2 times 2 times 3. When using the division stairs technique, please remember that you must divide by a prime number. So, in this case, I will divide 18 by 2 to get 9, then 9 by 3 to get 3. Once we have all our prime numbers, we would know that the prime factorization of 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. The next step is to circle the prime factors that are in common. Line up the two prime factorizations. 12 is equal to 2 times 2 times 3, and 18 is equal to 2 times 3 times 3. This way, we can see that both of our prime factorizations have a 2 and a 3 in common. Our third and final step is to multiply the circled numbers. When we do this, we take our two circled 2's as a single 2, and the two 3's we circled as a single 3. The GCF is equal to 2 times 3, which is 6. So now we're going to move on to finding the least common multiple, or LCM, by listing. Now, the very first step would be to list out some multiples of each number. You don't have to go too far. You only need to go about 6 to 8 numbers into your list. That should be plenty. Multiples of 12 include 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, and 72. Multiples of 18 include 18, 36, 54, 72, and 90. Step 2 is to circle the common multiples. The common multiples we have here are 36 and 72. The final step is to pick the least of the circled multiples, which means that our least common multiple is 36. Finally, let's talk about finding the LCM by prime factorization. Just like with GCF, the first step is to find the prime factorization of each number. Once again, the prime factorization of 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, and the prime factorization of 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. The second step will be to circle the prime factors that are in common. Remember, these numbers were 2 and 3. Step 3 is to underline the numbers that are not in common. In this case, there is a stray 2 and a stray 3 that we could not match up with anything. Step 4 is to multiply the circled numbers with the underlined numbers. Remember that we take each pair of circled numbers as 1. So we have 2 times 3 for our circled numbers, times our extra 2 and times our extra 3. So 2 times 3 times 2 times 3 is equal to 36. Well, that does it for my explanation of each method for finding the greatest common factor and the least common multiple. Please keep in mind that whenever you are trying to find the greatest common factor, your result will never be greater than the two numbers you started from. That is to say, the greatest common factor of, let's say, 6 and 11 cannot be greater than 6 or 11. Similarly, you cannot have a least common multiple that is less than the two numbers you started from. That is to say, the least common multiple of 8 and 13 cannot be less than 8 or less than 13. In other words, the greatest can't be greater, and the least can't be less. Well, that's everything. Thank you for your time, and I hope you found this useful. My voice.